There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin, and I got a question to ask you as you're sitting in your car or sitting at home, or do you have children? Do you have children that need medication from time to time? Not medication, excuse me. Supplementation, vitamins, things that can help them do all kinds of things like, sleep. Wouldn't it be nice if they slept through the night and did stuff like that? Well, our guest today has a company, and that company is working has worked to develop vitamins and gummies and things that kids will actually take because they like the taste, which is so rare these days, and it's not just a pill. Dara Wax is with us today, and Dara has a company, and it's called SAM+LEO, vegan burgers, gummies. And one of these days, you're going to have to come up with a burger for the kids. But Dara, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's awfully fun to have you. Now, you hail from Denver, Colorado, one of my favorite places, except for one little itty-bitty teeny-weeny thing. Of course, we don't play the Broncos very much anymore, so I guess that's okay. But in any event, she is there, and that's where her company is based out of. And what got you motivated to build a company for vitamins for kids?
It's a great question, one I keep asking myself. So basically, there are no functional vitamins geared towards tweens and teens. If you walk down any vitamin aisle, you're going to see kids and you're going to see adults, nothing for tweens and teens, and nothing my kids, Sam and Leo, who are now teens, would take. So I was like, let's see if we could do that better. Went down that path and realized we could make something taste better and that they would want to take. And then turns out it's for all ages. So we actually are available for ages 4 and older, and adults love them too.
Why do you think that there isn't, because I don't know if you, tweens and teens that's a big segment of the population. I wonder why there isn't something geared for them.
A few companies make a multivitamin, but 85% of tweens and teens do not take any vitamins. Part of that's because as parents, we kind of lose control over what they take and when they take when they get to that age. So we can tell them what to take when they're kids. We can suggest when they're tweens and teens, but to really get them to take it, there's not a lot of compliance there. So, and a lot of the vitamins that are out there are very either kid focused or adult focused. So it doesn't speak to that age group.
Exactly. And so you decided that you were going to build a company, and when you told your friends and family that, hey, I'm going to make vitamin for tweens and teens, what was their response?
Some of them actually gave me the idea. They're like, hey, what's missing? Because we were talking about what's missing in the cleans. We want something clean and that our kids would take. The other people were like, isn't something already exists? Like, there's got to be something, right? You can't be doing this the first time. Well, turns out, yes. Everyone just thought there already was something. And then it turns out there's not.
So when you go down the aisle, it's pretty easy to find if there's not something there specifically for them. How are they formulated differently? Because as you know, you have teens, I assume.
I do.
They're going through a monumental change of life. Every kid does. How are these geared for them to help their particular issues?
Yeah, so I have five SKUs. I could probably add another 10 that we're dealing with. But because they're not a multi, they're functional. They are very specific to what tweens and teens are dealing with. So I have one for stress. So it's a relaxed gummy. I have one for energy because they're all wanting to get into energy drinks, and mine's a caffeine-free energy. There's one for immunity because to prevent everyone from getting sick. And this is definitely a post-COVID development as well. We can talk a little bit about mental health in tweens and teens post-COVID. I have one for sleep, and then one for eye health and screen time fatigue, which has actually been around forever as a capsule and not as a gummy. And so that's just starting. And then we could add on a lot more from there.
Well, and let's talk about mental health in teens, because it's kind of a big deal, because teens go through a lot of, and stress is related to that. Teens go through a lot of stress because, I don't know. Now, you have teenagers. My teenagers are now smelly middle-aged men. And so I don't really have the idea of how stressful it is now just to be a teenager.
Yeah, I think there's a few things at play. One was definitely this, like what I was developing this during COVID, right? So we were seeing very different shifts in kids' behavior, different social shifts, who are they hanging out with, not hanging out with, taking risks because they're going out, and then a lot of screen time, a lot of social media, and then re-entry into this world that kind of passed them by for a few years, and they were supposed to jump back into a social life that they had not really kind of grown up with. And so we're seeing huge rates of depression, anxiety, bullying, feelings of not enough. Then you add in kind of what's happening in the world with AI, and they're like, what job am I going to have? If AI is taking over, what's my career going to be? And then you add in whether they take medication or not, school functioning. I mean, the list is endless. And I guess part of my my why in this, so, but having dealing with mental health with my own kids and everyone in my life really, but also mental health is like this huge umbrella, right? That covers substance abuse, it covers depression, it covers eating disorders, it covers anxiety. I mean, it covers OCD, it covers so many things that we put this huge umbrella over, and there's treatments are so different from all of those. But what my goal is to really start having those conversations earlier about physical and mental wellness. How am I feeling, both physically and mentally, and opening those conversations up. And the product is one tool in that, but it's also our bigger mission and our why.
One of the things that kids have is they don't talk a lot about what's going on with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm hopeful that these will open up that dialogue a little bit to, so the parents can ask their teen, how are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed? If the schoolwork isn't getting done, or if their grades aren't doing well, or their friends are changing, or they're not doing well on the ball field, or whatever it is, it would be nice to open up that conversation. Are these kind of designed to help with that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So one is the package design. They are fun packages. They are pouches. They kind of can sit on the counter, and they're very accessible, and they taste really good. So one is like a kid can go and take them, and then, or a parent can offer them and say, notice that you're stressed, how about one of these? Or they see the parents taking them themselves. Look, I'm having a stressful day, modeling. I'm going to reach for some of these instead of, so one is that, just the package design and going for, being able to talk about how you're feeling. The second is an alternative to things that you might not want your kids to start doing: vaping, energy drinks, other kinds of medications, substance abuse. And so it is offering right there on the counter an alternative before they're even getting to a place where those things are more mainstream.
Now, vaping, that is now in Washington State, you have to be 18, I think, but they're still accessible to kids, aren't they?
Very accessible. And I should say vaping, but also it's the pouches, right? The nicotine pouches are very popular now, flavored pouches.
Wait a minute. They have nicotine flavored pouches that kids can get access to? What is the purpose of that? Do they?
A lot of this is TikTok and other social media or Discord chats where people say, Reddit. Kids are learning that they're feeling anxious. Oh, have you tried a little nicotine patch? Have you tried a little vaping? Have you tried this? Instead of prescription drugs or other mental health, exercising or diet or, talking to a therapist. I should also say that part of this other why of parenting is, even if you have the privilege to have access to therapy and you have 1 hour a week with your therapist, or you have access to other mental health services, 1 hour a week is just the tip of the iceberg for us parents dealing with kids with any sort of mental health or anxiety. And so there's so much more to that. And so I am grateful for all the service providers and therapists out there, but there's definitely a crisis, and like our kids need more help.
And it seems to me that I know several kids that are 12, 13, 14-year-old females. And it seems to me that females have got more to work with or more to deal with than males. Am I right in that? Or do they both have their separate set of equally confounding challenges?
I'm not going to claim that I know that answer with data, having data behind it. I do hear anecdotally that there's a lot of bullying, mean girl, social media stuff happening among the girls that I don't see as much with the boys. I'm not going to say it's not there. What I do see with boys, especially gaming and online, is more aggression, more physical violence that they're being exposed to, more harsh words, language that they're seeing that probably our generation did not see as much. So different ways that both genders are experiencing new pressures.
It's got to be tough to be a kid because it wasn't like that when there was hardly anything like when I was a kid because I was in the 60s and the early 70s. And now with social media and the gaming, and a lot of parents. And by the way, if you are a parent of a teen or a preteen and you're using video games as a babysitter, just to keep them occupied and stuff, try and do something else with them. Do you agree with that?
Completely, but I'm probably just as guilty now that they're 15 and 17. One of my kids is actually a pilot, so he's doing flight simulations. The other one, gaming, they do other things, but it is also a social outlet for them now. They're talking to their friends, they're gaming with their friends. It is something that we are not exposed to. And so yes, I reduce it. Yes, we have activities. Yes, we do things. Yes, they have chores, but it is pretty pervasive. What my concern with the gaming though is actually curfews, bedtime, them going to sleep. So being able to shut it off to go to sleep. I have parental controls and timers on my Wi-Fi at home so that they go off at a certain time and don't go back on again until the morning. Because as much as I trust my kids and know they're responsible, it's really hard to disconnect. Think about your own scrolling on any media. It's hard to stop. And then you give that to a 15-year-old brain, it's even harder. And so I'm more concerned about the impact on sleep that the gaming has than actual gaming.
Oh boy, no kidding. Because sleep, if they're gaming for hours, and then they're wired up, and then to calm down and to be able to go to sleep in a timely fashion, because they need to learn the time that when they've got to go to bed and when they got to get up and have a little bit of discipline around all that. But if they're gaming and they're gaming in secret, which means they have a game system and a TV in their room probably, and mom and dad aren't paying attention to it, that can be a problem all by itself, huh?
Mm-hmm. And then you add in energy drinks to keep themselves awake or some sleep aids to go to sleep, the non-natural sleep aids to go to sleep. You're kind of setting yourself up for a very early even hormonal impact, right? And to talk about health issues, but their bodies are definitely going through puberty and changing. So
that's probably, other than maybe menopause, going through those changes are the most profound changes that you're going to go through because you start thinking differently.
Totally. Yeah.
And that makes it really tough.
Yeah. And then you're kind of at the mercy of what you're being exposed to or what your friends are doing or what's suggested to you or ad serving, right? And so you're probably not reaching for the cleanest, most healthiest choices all the time. I also joke that I raised my kids on all organic and made my own baby food and they still want Subway and Dr. Pepper, right? And so even if they know better or they've been given those options growing up, they're still making their own decisions out there.
Do any of your teens watch sports programming?
Some.
I was watching I'm a Seahawk fan, so I was watching their game the other day, and it's all alcohol, fast food, some car commercials, but mostly, and it's things to eat that are not necessarily good for you, or to drink that are geared for adults, but the kids see it too.
Totally. And we all come at parenting from our own background, our own experiences. I grew up not having access to sugar or access to a lot of things, and it made me crave it. So I have tried to be that house that has, junk food and things, hoping that because it's there, they don't go for it, which has mostly worked. But I do small things, like we have small cans of soda for treats, or we have, so it helps them regulate it more. But like, we all come at parenting from our own experiences. And so we're all constantly making decisions. And part of the other why behind my brand, my mission, and why I do this is there's no judgment in parenting. You do what works for you. There's no guidebook how to do this the right way. We're all doing the best we can. But if we know we're not alone in this, or we know that there's some other solutions like the supplements or ways to talk to our kids, that's kind of why I've done this, is I want to be able to show that we shouldn't be alone feeling this.
I think you're doing wonderful work, and thank you for doing what you're doing. By the way, we're talking with Dara Wax, and if you want to go to SAM, let's see, your website, just to make sure we get it right.
Shop SAM+LEO.com.
When we come back, Dara, I got to ask, who the hell are Sam and Leo? So we'll be right back. Right after this, it's just a minute long. Stay with us. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing. To return the wallet. To fix the mistake. To respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald. Sadly, Brichelle is out ill today, and Dara Wax is with us. And Dara, I got to ask you, who in the world are Sam and Leo? I suspect that they may be children that you know, but I don't know this.
Yeah, they are my children. Leo is now 17, almost going to be 18. Sam is 15. They are now okay with the brand being called after their names, and the reversal. The younger one's name is first, then the older one. I'm in Whole Foods Market now. I do a lot of store demos, and people always think my name is Sam, but no, they are my kids.
Very good. You're in Whole Foods?
I'm in Whole Foods and in Seattle stores, all the Seattle stores.
Yay! That's really cool. And it is Sam and Leo vegan gummies, and you can find them in the vitamin aisle, obviously.
That's such a good question. Some stores I'm in kids, some stores I'm in whole body in the regular vitamin aisle, also on Amazon, and then the shopsamandleo.com website.
Well, cool, because I shop at Amazon. I have to tell you, Dara, I went to a grocery store, haven't been to one since COVID, and I was shocked. Things have changed so much in grocery stores, and just there was nobody. The lines were long. There was nobody to help people. There were the prices. Oh, the prices are just amazing. And by the way, your prices are very reasonable. I checked them out. So that's very good. And so you can get it from your website. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Whole Foods, which they're national chains. So you can, or semi-national, I think.
Yeah, I'm only regional with Whole Foods. I'm in the Rocky Mountain region, which is Montana to El Paso, Texas, which also includes Nebraska and Kansas City, and then 10 stores in Seattle and one in Portland, Oregon. It's kind of a random mix.
Well, but because I was in the food business for a long time, and you have to get your foot in the door someplace, and then as managers talk to and buyers talk to each other, they say, I've got this new line and it's doing really, really quite well. Maybe you should get, so that's how it begins. And then it goes national. And then you can say, oh, by the way, Mr. Target, I'm in Whole Foods. Would you like it? You're in Whole Foods? Really? That's how it goes. So congratulations.
Thank you. And also, since you brought that up too about what's in them, and Whole Foods put me through a lot of compliance. So every ingredient has had a clinical study behind it. So it's quite a compliant product.
It is, because Whole Foods is very careful about how the products that they put on their shelves, and they want to make sure that they follow the programming that they've got for everything that they've got in the store. So congratulations. Was that expensive to do?
Expensive and time consuming, and also just, really making sure that it is safe for all ages. So it was something I wanted to give my own kids, but also wanted to stand behind it. And like you said, right in the beginning, the taste and texture, like it tastes different than other gummies. So I encourage people to ask for a sample or try it, but it really tastes different than other gummies out there.
How did you manage that?
Working with a vitamin formulation that I was like, listen, my kids are very picky. They didn't like the other gummies out there. We're going to do this better. And actually, fun fact, they don't stick to your teeth. So now I'm invited to dental conventions. I've been, did not have that on my bingo card for this year, but got invited to a dental convention to represent, because dentists often tell parents not to give their kids gummies in any form because it can cause cavities, but these ones don't stick to your teeth.
That's a big deal, because I don't know if you know, but a lot of us have got dental work that is not real teeth anymore. And it's like gum. I can't chew gum. But so I can take these. Now, they've been approved for all ages. So what does that mean? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. So our FDA does do some regulation around dosing for kids. And so the products that I've created have clinical studies that show that they're safe and effective in 4 and older. That said, the energy gummy it's a non-caffeine. It's just a B complex with a little biotin in it. Technically safe for 4 and older, but with Whole Foods compliance, they've asked me to put a 14-year-old and older on there, maybe because they don't want parents to give it to their 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds. But really, it means it's all ages, so safe and effective.
So it's not the simple answer of just loading caffeine into a gummy. You're doing it with B complex and the way that it's supposed to be done, in a natural way,
right.
Because that's better for the kids anyway.
Yeah. And also, just an alternative to like an energy drink. Also really good for athletes. A lot of our student athletes are taking and drinking and eating lots of things with a lot of added sugars or a lot of dyes and other unnatural things. So this is a great alternative for athletes as well.
That's a big deal, because athletes are always looking for an edge. And especially kids, they're looking for the best way to do it. So, how long has this company? How long has SAM+LEO been around?
It's a good question. These vitamins launched only 1.5 years ago. I started doing the legwork and kind of launching softly in the market a year before that. So these ones are 1.5 years, and then just into Whole Foods Market, the first retailer, the last 2 months. So it's pretty new.
So are you the salesperson?
I'm everything right now. You're looking. I even do my own deliveries. Sometimes I deliver in the back of the store and run around to the front of the store to do the store demos and do everything. So you're looking at I now have a little bit more fractional support in some other areas, but for mostly it's me.
Isn't it interesting the way, and this is not generally known. I was in the manufacturing business. I sold dead chicken for a long time, and it's interesting when you start looking at the undercurrent of how grocery stores work. Isn't it interesting?
Fascinates me. I'm completely fascinated by it. I see a lot. I see the back. I see the front. I see everything.
And it can be as simple as they've got a schematic of where they're going to put what product. It's going to be on an upper shelf or a lower shelf. If you're looking for something cheap, it's going to be on the lower shelf because it's not at eye level. They want you to buy products that are at eye level, and those are the ones that are a little bit more expensive generally. And so there's a whole rationale behind everything that they do, especially. Are you on any end caps? Those get expensive.
Yeah, so the fun fact, I actually am. I'm in some end caps, and in the Seattle stores, I'm in like a 4x4 Discovery end cap. Part of this is because I'm in a Whole Foods accelerator, so they chose me and the brand as one of 10 brands out of 1,600 to launch. And so I get a lot of support from Whole Foods. I'm very grateful for. And so part of that includes placement and some preferential other areas. But I know very well what that costs if I'm not in this program, what it costs to be on an end cap or in those areas. So I don't take it for granted at all.
Well, and by the way, you need to put on there someplace that you are one of 10 out of 1,600. That is a big deal because they do their homework and they really seriously vet you.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was almost like people always say when they meet me in stores, you should go on Shark Tank. And in some ways it was Shark Tank-ish. The final was a 5-minute pitch and 20 minutes of questions. So I've definitely been through that. And yeah, and I would say the other thing about stores, when your listeners, if you're in there and there's demos and people giving out samples, you never know if that person's a founder or owner. So when people learn that I'm the owner or founder of the business, handing out a gummy sample, they stop and they definitely treat me differently as if I was just a person handing out samples in a store. So I would say be mindful and be curious about what people are offering as samples in stores.
Well, especially somebody like you, because you know what you're talking about because you develop the products.
Exactly.
And that's a really big deal because and they can say, I met the owner. Exactly. I talked to the owner of the company, which is really great. Now, are you contemplating expansion now that you've been in Whole Foods for a couple of months? How is it going?
It's going great. I'm in about 50 stores and looking at what that next region with Whole Foods is, but also looking at other retailers that would be appropriate because it is a clean product. It is, I appreciate the shout out for their cost effectiveness, but it is a premium product. It's 60 gummies and it's clean and it's vegan. And so it's probably not quite ready for Target or Walmart, but that would be my goal is to make it more accessible. And then just looking at what those retailers partnerships would be because I do have a very nice setup with Whole Foods right now.
And it should not be poo-pooed at all because it really is, and they're what's called an anchor store. That if you're in there, then you can do, and then you can move to health food stores and smaller regional chains and that kind of stuff. So congratulations. Now your background? Are you an entrepreneur by nature? How did you come up? And are you learning as you go?
Oh, I'm very much learning as I go. And this is not for the faint of heart. I'm not sure it takes a lot to keep going, but every time I get this validation and next step, I keep, people want it, people like it, keep going, but it's hard. I am self-funded, which is also hard. Whole Foods took a 1% equity stake. So that is also a great support there. But my background's in nonprofit, global health. I had worked for Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, so a lot of Seattle time, my entire career almost. So I sometimes joke that I think it might be easier to make a malaria vaccine than it is to launch a product into Whole Foods. But I definitely know my way around global health, vaccines, drugs, diagnostics for HIV, TB, malaria, Ebola. But then mental health became a real big passion of mine, one, and then two, looking at what was missing in the market for my own kids. And COVID happened, had a lot of time. I wasn't traveling all over the place and had this, like I said, one foot in front of the other, kept getting the validation to do it, but was not my background at all.
Have you talked to Bill or Melinda and say, hey, I got this product and you might want to, invest in kind of thing?
I have not. Well, one, I know their strategy. I don't really fall into their strategy, although perhaps Melinda's office They definitely invest in global and mental health initiatives. I would love to grow this, both the product. I love the product. People love the product, but the passion is the mental health and giving back to mental health organizations. And so as this grows, I would love to take on more of that, those partnerships of where we can leverage engagement or partnerships in giving back and having that space to support teen mental health. And then the product is what's feeding those initiatives.
I can't tell you how, well, I can't tell you because you already know. But for those in our audience who may not have children or know, mental health for kids is a really, really big deal in this day and age. It's hard. There's just no other way to describe it. It's hard for kids, and there's a lot of suicide. There's a lot of attempts. There's a lot of issues around that, and so mental health for kids is an important aspect because I don't know if you know this, but if they make it to adulthood, then they're adults with mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that's there's nothing worse than that, actually. So in any event, we're talking with Dara Wax, and go to her website, which is
shopsamandleo.com. And
Shop
go ahead.
Or go to her house and introduce yourself to Sam and Leo.
Happy to. Find me in the store. We post all of the demos. So I post where I'm going to be in what stores. If you want to meet me at the stores or try to sample them, our Instagram, Facebook always says where we're going to be.
You are one busy person.
I am. I'm also single parenting.
Oh, gee whiz. And you have a pilot for a kid. Is that right?
Leo, the 17-year-old, he just passed his private pilot's license. So he is a 17-year-old who is allowed to fly a plane by himself now. No stress there, no anxiety there.
Are you taking your gummy for anxiety? Yeah. So we need to take our halftime break, and Dara and I will be back right after this. Please stay with us. A 17-year-old, I tell you, having a driver's license is hard. Having a pilot's license would be really interesting. But we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and we're talking with Dara Wax, and she is an amazing woman. I got to tell you, let me go through this here. She's a single mom. She's a business owner. She's an entrepreneur. She is a mental health advocate. She's the mother of a 17-year-old pilot, which is scary all by itself. And but look on the bright side. One of these days, he's going to be able to make deliveries for you from coast to coast in an airplane. I
already have him deliver in his car, and then we'll start with the airplane or taking me to stores for demos.
Well, that's good. The cool thing is he can have a career just working to develop this company, because this idea is not only grounded in science, it's a really, really good idea. Because I don't know if you know this, but there are products that are out there that are not exactly what they claim to be. I know that that's kind of a secret out there, but that really is true. Your products have been vetted and tested, and they are everything that they're supposed to be.
Exactly. And they taste good.
And they don't stick to your dental work.
Exactly.
For those of us that have dental work, and that's pretty much, I think, most everybody, at least of a certain age. So now I want to ask you about the sleep one. What's in that?
So my sleep one is actually the only one that's not in Whole Foods Market, but it's on Amazon because it has a little bit of melatonin, which can be controversial, but it only has 1 milligram. And then it has passion flower and B6. So it's a super gentle sleep. I use it with my own kids as needed. I tried to reformulate it to do a magnesium gummy or to do other things. And it just didn't taste good. So magnesium gummies are really hard to make. And 2, I think there's still a need for our teens, especially if you have teens or tweens who are ADHD, who have hard time settling at night, who are just really struggling with sleep, to give them a 1 milligram or 2 milligrams of melatonin here and there. I'm okay with. I'm not a doctor. Check with your provider, but I wanted that product for myself that tasted good and was a gentle sleep, and people love it. So that is still available for people. We also have the Relax one, which is the other one that is in Whole Foods Market. That is a valerian chamomile lemon balm gummy. And that's more of a chill, relax, will help you settle at night, but it's not going to bring the full sleep that maybe a melatonin might.
Well, but valerian root is a real good relaxing compound that works really, really well.
True. Some people have trouble with it though, or it works too well. But it is safe for 4 and older, and I love that it's a cherry flavor, so I love it. But I didn't want to get rid of the sleep one. And Whole Foods still carries melatonin on the shelves. It's not because they don't carry melatonin. They just have a lot of other melatonin products on their shelf.
Oh, very good. Very good. Now, I wanted to ask you because it seems to me that that I was going to ask you, do you have any memory gummies?
Focus memory.
Yes.
Not yet.
I need to have some focus memory stuff.
So I think everyone does for all ages of life. I would say the energy one, actually, believe it or not, it's a B complex. It's just going to be like an alertness. So it's not a caffeine like jolt, right? It's not a rush of like alertness, but it is a more gentle alertness. So it's a B complex. I think we're all deficient in vitamin B. So if you were to take that, I think you might see a more alertness and focus.
Good, because I now remember what I was going to ask that I forgot, which is why I asked the question about getting the memory one, which is, autism and ADHD and all of these things in children is growing, in my opinion, based on the people that I've talked to, is becoming an epidemic for kids because of autism. Some kids won't sleep by themselves because they can't fall asleep unless their caregiver is sleeping with them, kind of thing. And there are a lot of other things. Are you working to help those people specifically?
I think that's an interesting question that probably has a lot of facets to it. So I'm not sure it's just with autism in general or just one certain kind of diagnosis. I think it comes back to overstimulus, right? We're stimulated by the screens and social media. And it's like, what is that? Our brains are kind of overstimulated from all ages. So ADHD, autism, anything, anxiety, normal life. And so regardless of the diagnosis, I think we have to look at like what's causing some of that. So I think the products are available for all. I would also say that I have no judgment of medication, whether you medicate or you don't medicate. I've tried it with my own kids. One of my children does not even metabolize Medicaid. It's a journey. And anyone who's gone through it with your own kids knows there's no magic bullet, no anything. It's really hard to do. This is, the products are meant to be an add-on. I think there's also a lot about diet to look at. But in terms of like sleep and sleep troubles, I think looking more at the root of it, right? Some of it's attachment and anxiety, right? If it's not because of screen stimulus, is it because there's some attachment issues or other mental health things going on? There's just so many reasons. And I think parents are always looking for that quick fix is one of them, and they're not quick fixes. Second, I think we're all ready to jump to Dr. Google or Reddit and say, what should I do? And you're going to get, as many answers as you're going to get by what you type in. And so one is then coming back to yourself as a parent and trusting your intuition as a parent and your gut. maybe checking in with your medical provider, but like knowing that there's not one right answer and trying different things. But I can definitely tell you as a parent, there is no one right way and no magic pill to do anything.
Well, and you said a magic word, metabolize, because a lot of medications are difficult for the digestive tract, and sometimes they are not metabolized, so they end up going, putting it politely, right through the child, rather than being absorbed, because the absorption rate isn't good enough to make that work. So natural vitamins and stuff, the absorption rate is a lot higher. So you have to look at what's in the product and actually the absorption rate of what that generally is. And by the way, as far as Google goes, I went to my doctor one time and I said, I'm having this symptom. And I looked it up on Google and she said, you didn't do that, did you? And I said, well, yeah. And she said, never look up anything on Google because they're going to swear that you're going to be dead in a month and or whatever it is. So don't do that. Talk to your medical professional about those things, but don't self-medicate and don't do it on Google. That's my humble advice. What do you think?
For sure. And also back to the diet, it's hard. Like one, we all know our food system is complicated versus another, European access to food versus the US, or what decisions our kids are making. I know for a fact that one of my kids, if they're gluten-free, or it reduces anxiety and stress. Will they eat gluten and kill them? No. Is it really hard as a teenage boy to eat gluten? Yes. So it then it comes back to, you can't regulate what your teens are doing anymore. You can tell them, it seems like you feel better when you don't eat gluten. It seems like you have less anxiety. It helps regulate your brain. Your brain's less inflamed, right? But they have to make those decisions for themselves. And so it kind of comes back to our food systems too, of like what food we're putting in our body. And it's hard. It's really hard when they're out there on their own or eating school lunch. And so they have to start making those decisions for themselves. And I would just say that it's also not an exact science. It's a hunch. It's anecdotal. It seems like you feel better when you don't eat this food group. But there's no blood test to prove that, right?
Well, sadly, the reality is that Brachelle and I were doing a interview with a gal, and Brachelle is a great big meat eater, and she loves meat, and she loves eggs, and she loves bread. And the person said, well, if you want to be healthy, animal fat is not good for you. Eggs are not really particularly good for you. And cheese and all that can cause, different problems. And gluten is a major problem. There are people that should not be eating gluten that do not know that they should not be eating gluten. And they're just assuming that's the way their body operates. I would suggest, I'm not a doctor either, but I would suggest eliminating one of the food groups like that for a period of time and see how you feel. That's the ultimate guide, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. It's hard to do though with a teenage boy or teenage girl, but it's when you have no more solutions and you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm pulling out my hair. No medical professions. My kids, depressed, whatever. There's next steps that you can take. And so we're just offering, have you thought about maybe a food group? And again, back to your point, ask a medical professional, but sometimes we're in crisis mode and we're looking for an answer. And sometimes those answers show up in different forms.
Well, and I've got, you familiar with chicken nuggets? So and the chicken nugget thing. I have figured out a way, because I used to work in the chicken industry and I've seen how they make chicken nuggets. If I explain it to you, people will stop eating chicken nuggets.
For sure. A lot of things that people would probably stop eating.
Because they use something that's called mechanically deboned meat. So what they do is they take after the chicken has been, the breast has been taken off, the thighs have been taken off, the wings have been removed and stuff, then the carcass gets put into a machine that takes out what's left. After everything is gone, it takes out what's left, and then it comes out as kind of a pink paste at the other end, and then they take that pink paste and they make it into the size of a nugget. They put bread on it, and there you are. That's it. And but it's also got lots of ingredients in it that you don't want your kids to have. So chicken nuggets would be it should be off the menu unless it's unless they can prove that it's a whole
Tender.
meat chicken nugget, like a whole tender kind of thing, which is more expensive. And that's part of the problem, is that to eat properly, to eat well, to eat organically, it's more expensive.
It is. And even the supplements, right? Taking in a supplement. I also hear a lot, which is unfortunate, is parents buying supplements and then the kids don't eat it and they sit there, right? They're sitting on the counter. I spent all this money on supplements. My kids don't want to eat them. I'm not going to go buy another supplement they're not going to eat. And I get it, because I was that parent. And so that's why I spend a lot of my time in stores sampling or giving out samples, because I want people to try them before they have to invest in buying them, or even giving them a sample to take home to their kid. Because I've been there, I get it, that you don't want to spend money on things that they're not going to eat.
You are doing it the old-fashioned way, one person at a time. Congratulations, Dara. You're doing so. I applaud your tenaciousness, because to do well, to do what you're doing, you have to be tenacious and stuff. We need to take our last break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about where you can buy these products and how good they all are, and also what's coming next for you. And will we see you on the Shark Tank one day? We'll be right back.
They gave her crowns, but never freedom. They gave her titles, but never peace. The Girl of Many Crowns is the story of Judith of Francia, a woman born into power, yet bound by duty. In an age ruled by kings and scarred by war, she found her strength not in her throne, but in her heart. This is a story of courage, love, and the fight to be free when the world told her she couldn't be. Step into her journey, feel her fire, and see how one woman's choices changed the course of history. The Girl of Many Crowns, available now on Amazon Books, Kindle, Amazon Audiobooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and BookBaby Bookshop. Order your copy today.
And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Dara Wax is with us. And by the way, thank you for having a name that I can easily pronounce.
People don't say that about my name very often, so thank you.
But it's great fun having you here, because health of our teenagers, they are the future, and anything that we can do to help them live a little bit better and be complex, and a touch of melatonin and the things that you have that are all natural, and valerian root and that kind of, those are really, really good ideas. What's the next product coming out that we're going to find at Whole Foods?
Good question. So we just launched 2 months ago, but the first thing we're going to do is actually launch a travel size, a 10-pack size. So right now there are 60 gummies in a pouch, but we're finding that there's a lot of demand for a smaller size, so take and go or try it. So that's the first thing coming out. Also, our pouches are recyclable plastic, so everything from our brand is very sustainable, and to keep that at that level is pretty hard. And then we're just starting to think about what those next products coming out are. So one will probably be, don't hold me to this, but coming down the pike, you guys are going to hear it first, would be a sports energy, because they're already using the energy for sports and a clean supplement, but I think we can do some tweaking on it to help really optimize it for sports nutrition. Then people have been asking for an iron supplement that tastes good, especially for girls.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
All ages. So one that's, you can absorb, but also tastes good. And then a little bit on the fence about the multivitamin. So we had really focused on just doing functional, what are affecting kids, what's impactful. But because people love the taste and texture of this gummy, they're getting a lot of questions and demand for a multivitamin. So I'm entertaining that. It's a crowded space. And there are already multivitamins in the tween teen space. One, they're gendered, which they don't really need to be gendered at this age. But so we'll think about that. And then I think the next is like kind of the trends, right? Protein's a trend, electrolytes are a trend. Keeping my eye on that, but really coming back to actually what do teens want. And so I think we want to do a little bit more listening. I'm always open to listener suggestions and people suggesting, and I take notes when I'm doing demos, what people are asking for. But just because I have a hunch that the protein is important for teens and tweens as well, but I'm not convinced that it's where we want to go. So keep an eye on the space.
Well, keep an eye on your website, which is Sam and Leo. No, it's shopsamandleo.com, right?
Correct. Yes.
And by the way, if you would create, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm a little older now, and there are lots and lots of people that are concerned and worried about their bone health. And if you created one that had maybe zinc and magnesium and turmeric and some of those things to help the formation and the strengthening of bone, especially for women after menopause, they have osteoporosis. And did you know that one out of four old people is going to fall this year and end up in the hospital?
I did not know that statistic. But that's impressive. Also, it's been interesting in store. So, online, and the brand is very teen, tween focused, but we say for all young humans. I would say the data right now shows about 60 to 70% of people buying sample demos are adults and seniors because they like the taste and texture of the gummies. So we're trying to also figure out how do we make sure that we're serving everyone that wants to be part of this. But it's definitely an older demographic buying it in the store.
And it doesn't stick to your dental work. You have no idea how big a deal that is.
Yeah, I'm learning. I got invited to a dental conference.
Yeah, because it's a big deal. And if you put together a bone enhancing product that was a gummy that did not stick to old people's dental work, that would be that's a check in the right direction. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just love the work that you're doing. When was the last time you took a day off?
I'm just starting to this week. I've not in the last many months. And I'm tired. It's tiring.
Yeah, it is.
People realize also, I stand in a store for 3 hours, sometimes 2 stores. So 3 or 4 hours each store. And that's really fatiguing on the body and the brain. And then to have all the emails to catch up with. And we talked about this before too. I'm currently doing my own distribution. I'm just now signing on with a distributor, but I've been self-distributing to stores as well, which is people who know retail know it's a whole different thing. So,
that is huge. And congratulations on picking a distributor that can do that. Because that's the whole concept of the grocery store stuff. It is just fascinating how because there's the price and then there's the backside money and there's the other stuff that they all want a piece of the pie, as it were.
Yes. And margin, I don't think people realize the stores take, for supplements, it's a 50% margin. So they take a big chunk.
That's a lot, because like chicken and commodities and stuff like that, they have to follow the market to some degree. But fixed prices like vitamins and supplements, they can make them different than that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've learned a lot, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great validation. It's a great partner, and it's getting it out there, getting people to try it.
So I got to ask you, when you become a millionaire, what are you going to do with all that money? Are you going to give some back to mental health?
I think that is the silliest question, because that is the why behind this. That is my goal. Like coming from a nonprofit background, it's never been about profit or about making all this money. Right now, actually, though, it is so that I can give back, right? And some of this discussion points have been who do you fund? How do you support? Right now, it's everyone. Everyone needs support. I tend to like the more local organizations because those tend to get do a lot of the heavy lifting and get less of the funding versus the national organizations. But when this is big, because it is a when, and we're manifesting that, it is to support as much as possible and to keep it going, right? The product keeps selling, it keeps generating enough to support. That's the idea. And like I said, mental health is this huge umbrella. So there's so many different places that need that support. So I think that's the where. And partnership, right? Collaboration and partnership is how you make it bigger and better.
Well, and that's also, by the way, before we run out of time, I want to make sure I say this. You're welcome back anytime. I want to support your work because you're doing it for the right reasons, for the right motives. It's similar to what, people ask me, why are you doing so many shows and why are you doing what you're doing, what I'm doing? And it's because I want to develop the large enough reach so that I can reach enough people with quality products and services like your gummies that will help people in just sitting where they're at. Because I don't know if you know that. Well, I don't know. Why do I keep saying that? Because you know this. But a lot of people don't know this. We are inherently a non-nutritious country. We do not get the nutrition that we need because of the foods that we eat. By and large, are bankrupt of the things that we need, which is why I would encourage you to do a multivitamin too. But that's just me. But because even the foods at the grocery store, the vegetables and the things, they do not have the nutritional value that they once did because of the farming practices. Do you agree with that? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I don't have the data, but I think that's true. And also access and price point. It's really challenging to get the quality at a price point.
It is indeed. Now, after you get done with the vitamin aisle and pick up some SAM+LEO products, I encourage you then to go only to the outside aisles of the store. That's where the milk is. That's where the seafood is. That's where the produce is and the vegetables and that kind of stuff. Stay away from the middle box aisles that have got that stuff. But that's just me. But there again, you can feed a family of 4 with mac and cheese and wieners for a lot less than you can steak or whatever the outside brings. So we've got to fix that in this country. That's
for sure. Yeah.
And with your help, we'll get that done because mental health for kids, for anybody at any age is important, but kids have been kind of overlooked. And so congratulations on doing that. By the way, I got to ask you, what do Sam and Leo think of your work?
They're really proud of it. They're quite shy about it, but now they're in a store, they're more excited. And I think they know the why. They definitely know. So they are big fans, but they're teens. And people who have teens know they're self-centered and about themselves and navigating this world. And so they are.
No, that really?
So they're no different than any other kids.
My kids were 35 before they figured out that I'm not an idiot. And because when they were growing up, they but that's the nature of the beast. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and parenting these kids, right? Like Leo, the pilot, he pays for half of his flight school. Like these kids are not being handed anything. So they are working for what they want to do in this life as well.
If they want to accomplish anything in life, they've got to learn to have a good work ethic and to work through it. And sometimes then we don't give that to our children the way that we really should.
Yeah, 100%. I did it myself, paid my way, and I want them to know about how to make it happen for themselves.
Well, if they don't do it for themselves, it'll never happen. Because I don't know if you know this. You've probably said this once or twice to your teens. Nobody's going to hand you anything in this world. You're going to have to go out and work really hard to get what you want. Have you ever said that?
Yeah. Or I continue to say, I want them to see me working for it. So now they see it.
and they believe in what you're doing. Dara, we've just got a moment or two. So give us your website again and any last messages that you would like to leave with our audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for this incredible opportunity, and happy to continue having conversations with you and any other listeners who want to. Shop SAM+LEO.com, Whole Foods, Amazon. But yeah, really enjoy talking to you and listeners and engaging. And I want to hear what people are thinking and questions they have. So doors always open.
There is somebody who is grabbing a piece of paper and a pen and is going to write down your website again. So say it slower this time.
Say it slowly. And also email address, I do check. So you can email from there as well. It is shop, Sam, and Leo, all spelled out. SHOPSAMANDLEO.com. And you can find us there and follow us on social media. Like I said, you can see where we're sampling and demoing and meet me.
Well, and the fun thing is that while we were doing this show and during the commercials, you were checking your emails and doing some work because you only have 24 hours in the day and it takes 23 and a half to do what you're doing. So congratulations, Dara. Whole Foods is a big deal. There's going to be others that are going to follow suit. And by the way, if you're out there listening to this and you shop at like a Kroger Market or a Fred Meyer or a Safeway or any of those, go to the manager and say, do you have Sam+LEO vegan gummies? And when they say, well, let me look, and they'll say no, and say, well, you need to get those. Those are really good. If enough people do that, then they will be calling you to say, can you add us to your distribution list? That would be great.
Exactly. I appreciate that, Jeff. I should ask for them in your stores.
So go to your grocery store and find that, and also your health food store and anywhere else where you pick up good quality products, because these are them, and Dara is working very hard to get that done. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciated this.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You got to come back and we got to do it again. And we'll get Rochelle here because I think she needs a gummy or two from time to time because she gets sick.
Yeah.
She gets sick more than she should. So, but thank you for doing this, Dara.
Thanks so much for having me. We'll talk soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.